Hello there, and welcome to the Rambling to Myself podcast. I'm your host, Aaron, and this will be a little different from the usual podcast format we follow. This will be a pre recorded live stream I had with the IPD, International Pewdiepie Day, the other day, and I'm just uploading what I managed to accomplish and talk about in the live stream. So here we go. Okay, and we have returned after a short break. Hope everyone has had a nice little break and hope you're feeling better soon. And I'm pretty much talking myself at this point, aren't I now? But yeah, from this moment on, let me just open a can and let you guys hear it. That's the sound of soft drinks. Remember, kids, don't drink and drive. Anyways, I'll catch you guys up to speed. I am I handle a podcast called Rambling to Myself, and I mostly review music, movies, and I talk about anything that comes to mind. And I haven't really found the time to make any videos as of late because of school and yeah, just managing the stuff. If you guys didn't know, I'm in charge of management for the IPD, and I guess I'll let you guys know a bit if anyone's even here. Uh, Basically the plan right now is we're planning to distribute the posters to the people outside soon, and there will be a pin post on our PewDiePie submissions. I'll try to talk to Sof about it, but as far as plans go, yeah, there's not really much in. Yeah, we're just taking it easy, trying to get some videos up and content for you guys, so stay tuned for that. In the meantime, my main topic was mainly just like, because the whole point, if people didn't know, the whole point of IPD is, first of all, we are not here to promote the sub war or any T series related content, if that hasn't been clear enough, because there's no specific announcement where we're like, hey, don't do it in T series. It's mostly like in the rules, and there are a couple of rules, even the latest competitions, that we're like, hey, maybe you shouldn't like focus on T series, because from the beginning our goal was always to like treat this event as a birthday party of sorts, to celebrate the content that Felix has put out for us, as well as like just a celebration of the channel and what he's brought to us. I'm sure a lot of us are like more introverted, otherwise we wouldn't be sitting in front of a computer staring at guys shouting at video games or reviewing books for 40 whole minutes and stuff like that. So like I feel like this is a good way for us as a community to band together. It's like back in the day when Felix had the forums to like, hey, you can post up photoshops and stuff, but that's a nice drink. But like back in the day, Felix had a lot of like more central community, and maybe this event is sort of like trying to go towards that, to show that the community can give back and show the world, without like focusing on the sub war, what PewDiePie means to us. And as with a lot of operations we've carried out, the main point was always to be like, hey, how is he positively brought to life, and how exactly can we relay this message out? So yeah, that's basically our goals for the term. That's why we've been so against the T series thing, because I feel like that brings a more negative aspect, like a more childish, like, hey, we're just on the sub war and we fight. Like Felix has said many times, the sub war really, it's not really a very serious thing. And I feel like sometimes people might take it too far. But at the end of the day, we all have to remember that it's just a meme. And what's important is what's in front of us, and not something that's going to blow over eventually and the media can twist as well into something very negative. And that something is the channel itself, PewDiePie, Felix's creation, all the things he's come to make for us, as well as like all the things that's just like that we spend a lot of our precious times on, times where we're depressed, times where we're anxious, times where we just want to relax and chill. And it doesn't just have to be PewDiePie. I feel like this is representative. Whenever I talk to my friends about the sub war and why it matters, like on the surface level, we can all agree the points I just brought up. It doesn't matter. The sub war doesn't, like, it's just a fun meme. But like when you look beneath it, and as to why some people like me are more motivated, I feel it represents the end of an era of individual creators. Like, this rings even more true when you consider stuff like DeFi media occurring with like the originally independent Smosh coming to terms with how they've been industrialized over stocks and all that. Like you come to realize how like behind the scenes we tend to miss some stuffs, and we tend to forget that creators are alone sometimes, and that feeling of you know not corporates just using money and their influence to be able to just climb above is a bit like, it's very telling. And if above anything, I feel like it really is a shame that we will never be able to encapsulate what we used to have because of, first of all, the apocalypse, and secondly, like just the general like censorship age we have. People are so easy to point fingers. Media wants to be relevant. News will bring down anyone who's popular to stay relevant, as well as like just a lot of bad stuff to going on. Not because of anyone in particular, but because of the way we are shifting and how businesses are like, hey, this is an avenue we could pursue because no one no longer wants to use line television. No one wants to like, hey, let's turn on the television and like see what's going on, what's on Disney Channel, what's on Nickelodeon, what's on Cartoon Network, what's on Animax, what's on MTV. It's come to a point where, yeah, those same people have realized that YouTube is something we can capitalize on, and whether or not it's something very obvious like T-Series, Vivo, a few other like music corporates that I can't list off my head right now, but or like even like something subtle like Jimmy Fallon or James Corden, like you can still consider that as entertainment, but are they really YouTubers is the question. And we get stuff like BuzzFeed and companies that are making like top 10 videos. There's plenty of that. I don't have to list them, but there's just like, you get to a point where you come to understand and come to terms that like maybe the era of the individual is over. And I find that to be quite saddening, because we did have something pretty beautiful in the start, like a great idea where it used to be, the top videos used to be, I remember back in my day when I was first on YouTube, top videos were like the sneezing panda, Charlie bit my finger, and yeah. And then slowly but surely, if you look at the top 10 now, it's all music videos. And there was, I found, although it is a corporate move, at least like Gangnam Style was a community thing where we were like, hey, let's get this video 1 billion. And that was a bit awesome. But like, it's gotten to a point where there's too many of those things where we can't differentiate from like corporate moves to like things. And it's quite scary to find out that like even Smosh at some point was a bit, I guess, I don't want to say ingenuine. They still want to make content. It's just that it was directed by a board of directors rather than what they wanted to make. And it's a coming of age thing that you come to realize that like sometimes the world isn't so, black and white as you think it is. It isn't like, these people have just gone to shit. No, I think people need to understand that like sometimes it's like, hey, there's a lot going on behind the scenes that does not come to light because of either A, contractual obligations, or B, like it would just be the death of a channel. If let's say like, imagine if someone like, let's say Cinnamon Toast can reveal that all this time he'd been working under something like DeFi Media, or he's been working straight under Vox Media, and he's been paid to make videos all this time and he never enjoyed himself. Like that's literally putting a nail in the coffin, if I can say so myself. We get trapped in this weird limbo where we don't know what is genuine and what is ingenuine, and I feel like PewDiePie being at the top signifies that last bit of what we can really like appreciate from a single YouTuber with a very close track of close group of editors and not just a whole corporate entity. Like even back then, like you could say like to some extent Felix went into like that thing by partnering with Disney, and even he expressed himself how it affected him mentally. Like I said just now, you're forced to make content you don't enjoy, but you do it at the cost of money, which is, Disney had like the secretary following Felix everywhere and said like, oh, you have to come to make scare PewDiePie at the cost of not making your videos and making your audience happy and just doing what you like. And as Felix has said many times in his update videos, he is much happier now because that sense of community is something we should never lose sight of, because it is very important. Because when you lose sight of, as a creator, if you lose sight of what's truly in front of you and what you actually want, and and you put what you need and like monetary gains above it, you come to realize, I think, that maybe sometimes in life there has to be a bit of a balance of what you enjoy and money, but at the same time you shouldn't sacrifice everything just one thing. There has to be a balance. A friend of mine who was in the debates once said that everything in life in excess will ultimately be bad, no matter what it is, no matter how good it is. If you're excessive about something or you overdo something, it will always blow up in your face. It could be like eating chocolates, you could get diabetes. It could be listening to music, you could get tinnitus. I don't know how to pronounce that word, but you get the gist of it. Like literally anything in the world in excess is bad, and there needs to be a balance. And finding that balance is difficult sometimes, but at least, at the very least, we are supporting someone that we know. Is like that. But anyways, moving on from this, let's just go to the next topic before I keep repeating myself, and that is, I would say, YouTube animators. Because I find it a very interesting topic to talk about YouTube animators. Because a while back, as a person who I'm not really invested in the whole animation community, so to speak, but I feel like as a person who's been consuming YouTube for a good amount of time in my life, I would say like I've been in the era where people like Oni NG and I forgot what the other guy's name was. Harry Patridge, that's right. Have been like, they were the cornerstones and pretty much the face of what animation was meant to be. The people who came from Newgrounds and be like, let's put our foot down. This is a place we can like settle in and perhaps come to terms with. And I find it quite ironic how like due to YouTube changing its algorithms and the whole fiasco with the animators basically dying out, and now they are so like open to support animators, storytime animators like Jaden Animations, The Odd Ones Out, Sultan Sketches. Like some of those I watch is like amazing. Like it's kind of it's a weird situation where it feels like YouTube doesn't know what they're doing, and I guess it's like that comes with a lot of things, I guess, like Fortnite, I guess, Epic Games not listening to their community sometimes, doing very minuscule changes and visual glitches that don't really matter in the context of games. League of Legends riots, even if they communicate, they fail to do so 100% at times. It's like there comes to a point where you realize like maybe not everything can be fixed and some things have to be sacrificed, and a lot of things I don't know what I mean. Yeah, like there are a lot of things that get sacrificed as a result of decisions that we do not know about. And it's just come to the point where you realize like, wow, I can't believe like YouTube can support these guys, but like when it comes to us and we want to voice our opinions, there was even a Twitter account like for YouTube graveyards where people would put up and say like, hey, these are the people that got axed or demonetized or 3 copy strikes, and as a result their YouTube is dead. It's quite scary to think that YouTube is so quick to make these decisions without thinking about like, oh, what are the implications of making these decisions, or like who are we forsaking? Like for example, by promoting, it's good to promote storytime animators, but at the same time you're forgetting the people who have brought you and those animators and inspiration to get to where they are, and you've completely destroyed them, left them alone, pushed them all to Patreon, killed Momkey Jones, which was one of them, and he was an animator, but like that's just a level of censorship as well as like consequence as a result of the apocalypse. Hold up 1 second. All right, sorry about that. I heard some noises and I didn't want you guys to get your ears destroyed. I think it's an airplane or something. But I feel like as with any businesses, sometimes it's quite clear at this point that your main job in a business is obviously to make money. And in related to T-Series, as much as I don't want to bring it up, it's a good comparison that like a corporate entity with enough money can easily shove their way in the world like this. As a person who makes music and handles a band, I can tell that like there are a lot of things in place all over social media that is purposely designed so that a person with more money is more likely to get more visibility. when you go to Instagram and you start a business account, you have the option to advertise your thing, which also in turn links you to Facebook, and then you also pay money there. And I'm not so sure about the shape of Twitter, so I cannot comment on that. But for the most part, you get to see as time goes by, like, like a lot of these corporate movements. I think Snapchat would be the greatest example. Like, you go onto Snapchat, back in the day, it was very simple loadout, messages here, stories there, and the middle screen where you just take pictures. But now it's got to the point where the whole right side has been revamped and basically destroyed for the sake of advertisements. And it's just a very depressing situation for YouTube all around, because I feel as though, like, they don't care about it does feel like they don't care about the creators, and I'm sure a lot of us can relate to that. Like, why are our favorite creators that, like, they're putting so much work and all you're doing is promoting those who have, like, a lot of money? And I feel like that's what sparks. And I hope that for this is obviously to those who are not bandwagoning and saying, like, oh, this thing is popular right now and it's just a meme, maybe as a memester I can just advertise this. No, I'm not referring to them. I'm referring to the people who genuinely care about PewDiePie and T-Series and why they are more invested. It's just like, I think a lot of people are coming to realize that this is a new age, and as time goes on, a lot of the mistakes and holes are being dug even deeper. We come to realize in actions. And another example I can bring up is, like, for example, Logan Paul with the Suicide Forest video. He made a video as controversial as that. YouTube let it run, not only leaving the video up, but allowing it to be on trending #1 for a whole day before removing it. Whereas we get PewDiePie that posted a video that was falsely misrepresented by a news article, and yet look at the consequences of both. Then Logan Paul gets like a slight slap on the wrist and maybe a bit of like demonetization for like a week, whilst PewDiePie is permanently now monitored for swearing, which he comment, like Jacksepticeye, I think Jacksepticeye can swear without being demonetized. And another thing is the fact that, like, you know, he got his whole YouTube Red series taken down as a result of his actions that were taken out of context. Sure, they were like drastically like wrong. I will not deny that point. The things he did were a bit like, you know, you're a figure up there, you shouldn't be doing these things. Like, you shouldn't be paying people to put up like anti-Semitic messages. But at the same time, you need, I don't know, it's just very unfair treatment, and it's very unfair to see, like, I know there was an uproar about it when it first happened, but yeah, I feel like before I go too far into the deep end and into the sad stuff, perhaps I should move on to another topic, I guess. And I think I'll wrap it up by saying that, like, this battle represents more than just simply a random Swedish guy making memes, trying to get big over something as trivial as that. It's a showing that we've come to an end of YouTube prioritizing the users, and instead of YouTube, it's probably like US-Tube now, or something like really cheesy like that. So that's all I have to say on the matter. So I guess I'll think of something to move on to. But yeah, if you guys have any thoughts, feel free to share them. If anyone's even watching this. I shall just take a time to like drink so I can, like, you know, fix my throat so I don't have to cough into the microphone. Very nice. I think I can talk about like why I've talked about this. Sorry, I saw a message just now. Never mind. Basically, I'm gonna say I talked about this earlier, but I didn't go into depth with it because we were still in the group chat, and I wanted to hear everyone's opinions on it. But the point was basically like, why do you choose as a person to watch content like this? Why do you choose to waste your time? For instance, Captain Sparkles is a good example. I had people ask me like, why are you watching someone browse Reddit and give commentary on it? Like, what's the point? Why don't you just browse it yourself? Why do you want to watch someone play a video game when you can play it yourself? And to that, I can say like, why do you watch someone play football when you can play football yourself? You know what I mean? I feel like there's enjoyment to be had from watching. That I mean, obviously PewDiePie is not the best at what he does in terms of gaming, but like, I think we can ultimately agree it's up to the personality, and we want to see what a person thinks about things. Because I think us as humans, we will feel we need a sense of validation in a lot of things we do. Some of us may not need it as much, and some of us may choose to bury that feeling. But there's always like, for example, let's say PewDiePie uploaded a video on Devil May Cry 5, and another day he uploads a video on Fortnite. Obviously, like, people who care about Devil May Cry are going to watch the Devil May Cry video, and it's going to get far less reception. Whereas a lot of people on Fortnite are going to be like, hey, he played Fortnite. And to that goes back to the validation points. You want to watch someone who has given you hours of entertainment, a sense of like direction in life, as well as a figurehead that has impacted you so much. Talk positively, and as well as observe how they choose to approach something you enjoy yourself. And I feel that in itself is like, it's kind of, I don't know how to explain it. It's just like, it feels nice to see that someone else is enjoying the same things that you do, especially someone that you looked up to. And it makes you feel validated, as well as make the content creator more human and more real. We want to watch things that we resonate with, assuming you're not just watching it like, for example, I can give you an example, Devil May Cry 5. If you watch a YouTuber like Devils Never Cry, your intentions are clearly to get better at the game, learn the mechanics, as well as like just understand the stuff. But when you watch someone like PewDiePie, who is just having a good time, that's the point of it. You want to have a good time, you sit down, you want to experience it with someone. And a lot of us are very alone sometimes, and we don't know where to turn to. So we have no one to turn to but the creators, who can give us commentary, as well as maybe a different point of view that we never considered in regards to a video game, or like some drama that were up there, or some videos that you reacted to. So maybe you like to watch You Laugh You Lose because like you want a chance to laugh at something. You want to see what, like, oh my god, Pewds, how could you possibly do that? Like, you want to react to it as well, even though it may never be recorded or like displayed. But that all comes back to the form of validation that we all seek as introverts, because I think I could safely say that we all value quality over quantity, and we prefer like understanding, deciphering, looking at things, and just coming to terms with it, instead of like, oh, I want to keep going on with new experiences and keep, like, for example, like, meet new people, learn new experiences, travel to new places, see new scenes. Like, I think as a sentimental person, you want a sense of attachment and belonging, as well as the point of validation. And I think like by sticking to creator, you give yourself that. We do not subscribe to someone simply because their content is good, but also because we agree, as well as understand where that person is coming from, and how they choose to show us that, how they choose to present that, bring up topics and stuff. And that's something we admire in people that perhaps maybe we are lacking. And I myself and a few other people I've met throughout my life, we've always like, how can I like make myself cooler? How can I like, hey, there's something I don't like about myself, or maybe there's something I can do better while I'm idling. How can I make myself look cooler while drinking a cup of coffee in the middle of the day? And some people look to actors, like some people like, okay, that actor, like maybe he sits a certain way, maybe he drinks a certain way, maybe he holds his cigarette a certain way while he smokes and flicks it a certain way to get rid of the ashes. Maybe there's a certain way that he speaks, a certain way that he pauses his words. It's just like that. Sometimes we find ourselves in people who are so different from us, and I think it just makes us more human. When we are so alone, we have no one to turn to but the creators that make content for us. and along with the opinions we want to value and see, like, oh my god, there was this such a cool moment in like this video game I really enjoyed. I wonder like how my favorite creators, and for me personally, sometimes I even like, okay, maybe my favorite creators don't like this because it's a niche thing, so you turn to other creators, and that in turn expands your horizons. Like, for instance, I watch a lot of music reviewers because I make music myself and I consume music a lot more than an average person. Like, I think my Spotify was on 18K last for 2018, which was more than a few of my friends combined. Most of them were like 20K, 10K. And of course, like, as a person who wants to get better at music, you want to see what reviewers have to say. You want to understand, like, for example, production. What can I do better? Can I add more reverb here? And like mixing, what can I do better in an individual instrument? Or maybe like you want to get inspiration. I make rock music, but I want to do more. I want to see what other people in the rock genre are doing. If you just end up listening to Green Day for the whole of your life, you're going to make music that sounds like Green Day. But if you listen to more bands, for example, like Simple Plan, Sum 41, Blink 182, naturally your music will evolve into those directions and you find your sound in that. And in relating to Pewdiepie, it's the same thing, you know. You come to understand how to form your own opinions, how to critically think, whether or not it's simplest of things, like just like what type of comedy do I enjoy, what type of funny videos do I like to see, how people react to, how do I react in these situations, and like how can I like be a better person and a comedian to my friends. What's more like that? Like, I think there's a lot to be learned that people shy away from or just like don't really notice. But I feel like there is definitely a sense of, like I said, it's not as simple as people think it is. It's not just, oh, I'm just gonna sit down here, stare at the screen. It's more like most of us actively consume the media that's presented to us. And by actively, I mean we actually sit down, see what someone has to say, look at why Felix is laughing at this, and whether or not how deep the analysis goes. The main point at the end of the day is you've taken the time of day to sacrifice 10 minutes of your life a day just to watch a video and put everything aside. And that in itself already shows like you're willing to expend that time and, you know, enjoy something, consume something. And I suppose my main point is like, sometimes we want to learn, we want to understand, we want to see and observe how other people are, because us as humans are social creatures. It is down to, you know, our like very existence. We ultimately want validation, like I've been saying a lot of times. But the main, like I said, that is my main point, and that's why I'm repeating myself. We want to see how people react to things, because I find that some people in the world, obviously, like when it comes to empathy and stuff, we get disconnected sometimes from reality because of how much we spend, whether be it on social media or simply like watching videos and or like very negative stuff, or like going on Twitter and seeing SJWs react off of things, like getting triggered over stuff that was tweeted like 10 years ago and purposely arguing with people and stuff like that. And as a result, like I feel like at best, even at its worst, at least like you can understand what emotions are. I know maybe this is way too deep than what I'm looking at, but at its core, you get to like see how people react, and maybe you can help another person who doesn't know how to react, because we are not taught how to feel and how to react to things. Sometimes we as humans are expected to know better. A lot of us are, whether be it in friends or social situations. People automatically have expectations of you, and whether or not that expectation is high or low is besides the point. The fact is that in any social setting, you always have an expectation of a person. You're like, once you make that expectation, whether or not it sticks is a different story. But the point is that like sometimes, I guess, like in watching YouTube, we get to learn, like I said earlier, about the point on, you know, how we choose to behave and how we act in front of people, and traits we take, whether be it from anime, movies, or even YouTubers. What we watch and what we consume ultimately affects who we are today. And to say that watching a creator does not help or it's just a waste of time, I simply cannot agree with that statement, because I feel like in consuming something, you learn something. Whether or not that something is important to be learned, or that something is like something you've already known, but you're just emphasizing on maybe like by like 0.01%. Like it's not even something like you care about. In that sense, like learning to feel and come to terms with your emotions, like your raw emotions, coming to understand that like maybe life isn't so bad and I can open myself to be vulnerable to at least someone on the screen, to allow myself to laugh as her. Like I saw a lot of life pro tips where they say like you do not make fun of someone's laugh because that's something someone cannot control and it's the only time they can truly express themselves. So sometimes like maybe some people do think like that, maybe you are bullied, and that's why like in that there are genuine moments that we may never be able to share with people around us, that we can share with these YouTubers that are doing nothing but recording videos and sending out to us, because our social circle is so dependent and random and based on whatever situations we are placed into rather than what we have chosen in life. Even at birth, we are never given a real choice. We can do what we can as humans. We can choose the path to forge, but we cannot change the people and the surroundings we are in. But YouTube as a platform allows us to make that option much earlier because we have someone to turn to. And no matter how stupid it is, I always have reservations about telling people like my heroes are the musicians I listen to, because let's be honest here, if your parents heard that, they'd be like, what the are you thinking? Like, bro, you should like look up to people who are actually making change, like politicians or lawyers, scientists, doctors. Like, why would you look to the poor artist, the poor starving artist that does nothing but sit in their room? Like, a lot of people don't understand the amount of work and effort some things take, and the hesitance some people show to allow themselves to be vulnerable to other people. And this is why it's so important to us. And I feel like this is something that maybe some of you have to say or like write down or really think deeply about, because like if you don't explain it in a way that someone can understand or show like how important something is to you, bottom line is they're not going to understand because you don't want to explain it to them. You know what I mean? And the whole point of this event, it ties back to what I said in the beginning. Our point is to celebrate the content that has been created by Pewdiepie and what it has brought to us, the joy, the genuine moments we may never be able to express, the games we've shared with him indirectly through playing, like Undertale, Walking Dead, Slenderman, Five Nights at Freddy, Fahrenheit, Heavy Rain, Amnesia, just so much that it's like even it's to the point where like sometimes it's very, like I said about the earlier point, we want a sense of validation of and connection to those we spend so much time on, and that is something we cannot replace. It's not as simple as telling someone like, oh, you enjoy JoJo's Bizarre Adventure and PewDiePie doesn't cover it. Well, why don't you just go to a Discord server where they talk about it? That's not the point. You're missing the point. By going into a community, you're risking being vulnerable, that something that you've already torn down just for a creator that you trust in, as well as like you're going to a room of strangers that you may not even connect with or enjoy, because in life sometimes there's just people we cannot jive with. Even if it's like a class from 50 people, you may never find someone you truly connect with, and that's just the hard truth of things. And that's why we are so reluctant to open ourselves to things. And in itself, it is important to us, at least, that our creators are able to see the things and enjoy the things we do as much as we do. You know what I mean? And it's just a very personal and weird thing, because the statement always stands: how can you be so personal to a person who probably doesn't even know how you exist? But like I said, that's missing the point, and someone that doesn't understand, I guess, because it's a weird thing, you know. I think an example would be Avengers Endgame. Why are you so attached to a couple of movies where fictional characters don't exist? Or even Harry Potter, why are you so attached to a couple of books and a couple of movies of fictional characters? It's more than that. It's not just fictional characters. It's not just a few fancy words and a few video clips stitched together on screen that shows for 2 hours. It's basically a part of us. It's who we are and what we choose to be vulnerable to. And I understand that, we cannot explain that, hey, we can't be vulnerable towards you as a friend, because that would be a bit weird if they already don't understand that. But it's just the way it is. And if you are someone that cannot understand that, to the point where you're like, hey, this person's weird, he enjoys playing games so much, he enjoys anime so much, or like he enjoys the user so much that he will watch every single video. That's not the point. The point is you're an asshole for telling someone that they cannot be happy in the manner they choose to do so. And I think I've made my point very clear. Like, this is far more than just fiction. It's far more than a random funny guy on the screen. It's who we choose to imprint our very being and happiness onto. It's who we, come home from work or school after a long, stressful day of being alone. It's the first thing we wake up to and look forward to. And for some of us, it may be all we have. And for some of us on the event, PewDiePie clearly has made a big impact. And I find that to be it's a very genuine thing and a very tender thing that we should all appreciate. And it doesn't have to be rational, by no means. You can enjoy what you want. And as long as it's not like, a crime to do that, then like into weird stuff, of course, like murdering someone, then of course you have to probably like look back on what you actually enjoy and probably find other things. But as in terms of like creators and stuff, it's just not a valid point to say like you can't enjoy something, or like you cannot, why are you doing this? That question doesn't really stand, because in asking that, it's quite evident that someone like that doesn't have a connection or is willing to like be bogged down by media. For example, people who watch Avengers Endgame, there will always be people out there who won't watch any of the movies and they just think it's a waste of time. And unfortunately, that's just the way the world is. Some people just don't like to sit down. Some people like to go out there, do something, make changes in the world. And that's just how it is. And we can't change them either, because like I said, it would be very hypocritical of us to judge someone for what they enjoy, like sports or like an outdoor activity, for example, like racing, something that we may not be able to comprehend. But at the same time, we need to accept that other people have things they enjoy as well. And in that, I think it's better we be able to accept that people will enjoy what they have to. And putting down anyone for enjoying anything is nothing but a dick move, because it's what makes you happy. It's what you do in your free time, and your time is your own. No one in the world will care as much about your happiness or be able to understand from your perspective truly until they've been in your shoes and literally have been like you. Because we all go through very different lives. We have very different personal lives. We have very different friend circles. We have different things we do in the morning. We have different lines of jobs. And all of these over time will change and shape you to be the person you are, And there needs to be an acceptance as to the point, like, maybe we may never see eye to eye, but at least if we are respectful to each other, we can make the world a better place. And I hope that at least by telling people why we are thankful towards PewDiePie, maybe someone can understand better. Maybe someone can finally just sit down, take a breather, and understand, hey, maybe I'm starting to get this. Maybe they are less different than me. Maybe they choose to channel their energy and their sincerity towards something I cannot comprehend. And I can be a better person myself in understanding that some people enjoy things differently and choose to, take entertainment and process their positive energy into things that I cannot comprehend. And I think us as a society can definitely do better by understanding that and taking the time to just sit down instead of pointing fingers and saying like, oh no, you can do better, you should be studying right now, oh no, this doesn't matter. Maybe we should learn to be better and just tell people like, you do you and I do I. We may never come to terms, but there will always, at least we respect each other enough not to degenerate as a society. And maybe someday we can sit down, watch a PewDiePie together, and enjoy it as much as I do. And that's just it. I can go on and on about examples about it, but at its core, it's just a sense, another level of empathy that we need to sit down and truly understand about each other. Like, there's plenty of examples, like music. Why would someone enjoy something like K-pop when I only listen to rock music? Or like art, why would someone say like Picasso is like better than DaVinci? You know, stuff like that. It's all up to interpretations, and because we are such different human beings, that is it. And yeah, I think that's about my thoughts on the matter. Yeah. Skeppy fan channel asks, do you think PewDiePie will take over T-Series and also be the first channel to get to 100 million? I don't know. It's a bit turbulent, and a lot of it is very variable, because we have to understand that, like, thank you for the question, by the way. We have to understand that T-Series is a corporate entity that has a lot in its utility belt to pull out. It is not as simple as saying like this is a fair race and both of us do the best that we can in terms of promotions, and at the end of the day it's a fair game. I think all of us can agree it is not a fair game. T-Series chooses to go to Supreme Court to take down videos like Congratulations and Bitch Lasagna, even though they are meant to be in, you know, poke fun at the whole situation and all. It's ultimately like stop drinking Pepsi. Hell yeah, support Coke, man. But I think it's very unfair. It is. You should understand we are at a disadvantage, and it's because of that disadvantage, as a community, we have chosen to rise up as much as we have. Excuse my grammar. And of course, we are ultimately running at a disadvantage, and it's a miracle we even got this far. But I think even in meme culture, we've come to accept that like we as a community have so much power and so much ability to change things. We as people, when we care about something, we tend to do our best to make sure that something is as relevant or as, you know, digestible to other people as possible. Because obviously, no one in the world wants their favorite, like your friends to fail their relationships, your favorite creator to fail, and all that. And ultimately, the main point is that, you know, we as a it's very beautiful to understand that we as a community, although we can meme about, we can come together to actually, you know, put our heads together. Gonna take a quick drink. Very nice. Not sponsored by anything. This stream is still relevant. God damn it. I mean, a fun fact, did you know Pitbull was doing a cover of Africa, and when I heard it I was like, what the in I think it's Aquaman, but yeah, you know. Also, in terms of music industry, it's quite interesting to notice that like it's kind of like Hong Kong dramas. When you are in a Hong Kong drama, you see reoccurring actors. Like there'll be 5 people in a cast that are main actors, and 3 of them will play another few movies, and they slowly, like, you know, move on into a new era. Like one of the actors will stay into next movies, and then slowly they'll go out as a new cast takes over. And I think the same thing applies for music. That's why we have features. We have people like Pitbull. We have people like what's his name, Luda. We have all these rappers that are popular because there was a discussion that Anthony Fantano brought up, which is like, is Billie Eilish a wallflower? And that basically means like, is Billie Eilish an industry-driven figure rather than a natural one? And of course, those will always exist in any sort of things. Like for instance, we have in our war itself, PewDiePie is a natural one, whereas T-Series is a wallflower, I suppose. It's not exactly an entity, but it is a corporate entity that is backed up by years of history and a full workforce that is pushing it forward. And it's just something we have to come to terms with, that ultimately people will always be against industries. We will always strive for that sense of identity wherever we find it, and us as individuals can only do so much. I know petitions don't mean a lot, they don't lead to anywhere, but us as people, we want to fight for what we have as freedoms. We as human beings want freedom. We want a right to choose things. That's why we have votes. That's why we have democracy. And in it comes that sense of urgency and justice that we seek whether whatever it is, it's the reason why I took part in the whole of the the event of International Pewdiepie Day. I felt a sense of duty to make sure whatever has been done is not gone to waste, because you know if you yourself do not choose to come to arms, you cannot hope that someone else will do it for you. And that rings true to anything in life. You cannot expect someone to stand up for you if you won't stand up for yourself. You cannot hope that a prince in shining armor will one day, rise up and say like, hey, we can destroy all the injustice in the world. No, change starts with you, and change will never happen if you do not take that first step to accept that there may be an issue in the world. And us accepting that T-Series is an issue is that first step. Us accepting that the community is being blindsided and thrown aside in favor of a more corporate YouTube is an issue. And it's because of these issues we have stood up. It's because of these issues we want to defend something that is so personal and, like I've explained a lot, like ingrained into our very being and essence of who we are. It's a routine for us to wake up and just watch PewDiePie. How can we stand by and let someone we enjoy and gives us so much personal happiness just die and be irrelevant? You cannot stand by and do that. Like, I think there are people who will always be more outspoken than others, and I think it's good to understand that maybe one day we can be like them, and accepting that you can do better and in yourself has the ability that any other person has. Whether or not you're inexperienced doesn't matter. It's taking that first step in life, in anything that comes to you. It's taking that first step and accepting that you want something. And that's just it, We have too many followers in this world, and we need more leaders that are willing to say like, maybe I don't want to watch the injustice of the world. Maybe I don't want to stand by and watch Article 13 get passed by. Maybe I should start standing up for not only myself, but the people around me. And in that is what we are. And at any given time, the best is what we can do. And whether or not that's enough is besides the point. It's the fact that at least we did something. And if we do not have people who didn't do anything, then this whole T-Series PewDiePie thing would never have happened. Okay, if Mr. Beast decided like one day, I'm just gonna not start a YouTube channel and never do it, we would never have all this. It's because that one person took that step. And we need to understand, no matter how low our self-esteem is and how unconfident we are, there are people out there who beat the odds and started from nothing. And all of us have the capability, or at least the possibility, even if it's a small 1% chance. Can you wake up and tell yourself, it's like my teacher once said, regret is a strong word. And I've always held on to that quote ever since I graduated from high school. that was such an important quote to me, because I want to be someone who lives like, I don't want to like regret over something that I could have done, something that I could have at least tried. If you tried and failed, you don't lose anything, you gain experiences. But if you always stand by and watch injustice in the world, or like, just like, hey, maybe someone else will stand up for me. Well, I'm sorry to say, but maybe if you keep standing by, then at some point we will run out of people who want to stand up. That's why I think like it's best you try your best to do what you can. Take that first step, and if you go nowhere, maybe come back to it a few years later and keep pushing onwards and keep treading, because this world needs more people like to stand up for things. And that is it. Yeah, that's pretty much my line of reasoning in regards to your point on why T-Series, and all that, and Pitbull and all that stuff. Change starts with you. Just remember that you are an individual that has the capacity and capabilities to reach the point of being a person you aspire or look up to. And it doesn't matter how long it takes. It doesn't matter if whatever you do goes to waste. It doesn't matter if you fail. What's matter is you tried and you actually did something. And you can tell yourself, I can rest now that I've known. I have come to terms with who I am, what I can do, what makes me happy, and I have my goals, as well as like what I choose to pursue. Because if you never take that first step, you will never know. You're gonna waste your time overthinking about it, whether or not it's that girl you want to chase that you never asked out because you're too much of a pussy, or it's that prom you never want to attend because you thought like people wouldn't care, but in actuality your friends probably want you to show up and just like have a nice drink and just sit down with them and watch the event. You know, it can be simple, or something as big as like, I want to start a YouTube channel, or I want to start a music career, something that like your parents may completely disapprove of. And the thing is, you will never know, and you will always live with that regret. And I find it to be very sad that a lot of people out there, like maybe millions, billions of them, will always never know. And it's really sad to know that a lot of people have dreams that die with them. A lot of music out there that gets unreleased, a lot of videos that never get done because someone was not confident enough. Someone did not take that first step, or someone was just like, there's way too much competition out there, I don't think I could do it. But there comes a time when you do it, you put the results, and you get just that one really nice comment, and you get to where you are in the future because you decided to take that first step. And I think a lot of us have to realize what potential we have as human beings, whether or not that potential is ever unlocked or not. Like I said, it's besides the point. At least you tried. And I think that's very important to everyone, to understand that we need to try, and we can do better as individuals. We can. Okay? It's not so much of like, I can't do this. It's you can. You just need to bulk up, suck it up, and go. Just jump. Be impulsive. All of you guys are probably still young. Everyone has their life not sorted out. You have so much time and so much like possibilities in front of you. Don't let it go to waste, because one day you're gonna wake up, you're gonna be 50, you're gonna look back on all of this and said like, what if I did that? I regret not doing that. Do you want that to be your future? Do you want to look back and tell yourself, I will come to regret not doing this? I know it's hard to tell yourself right now, like, oh, my priorities are set straight and maybe I won't regret in the future, but don't lie to yourself. That is something I always tell my friends. Never. You can lie to the whole world. You can fake a mask going to school. You can fake whoever you are, but never ever lie to yourself. If you feel like you're sad because you didn't do something, accept it, embrace it. What are you going to do about it? Are you going to change that fact? If you're not, then move on. You know what I mean? Do not lie to yourself. Do not regret things, and live life as best as you can, because that's really all we can do. No one out there has their life sorted out, and it's only a very minority of people who know what they're doing sometimes. And a lot of people go through a lot of mental issues as well that they do not want to divulge in because of the stigmas, taboos, as well as no close peers to talk to about it. And in understanding that other people are just people, Felix is just a person. That rock star you see on the stage is just a person. The person who made your favorite statue was just a person. At one point, they might have started from nothing. And of course, like I said, this is not like in reference to people who were born with a silver spoon. At that point, then you should probably use that time to do something. But I'm referring to like people who like have goals and duties to do. And it's just that. I don't know what else to say except like, just do it. You know, it's like that Shia LaBeouf meme. Just do it. Oh, I understand that feeling, Skippy. It is quite a sad feeling to know that. And it's like I said earlier, you know, people may never understand why we enjoy something as much, but we can do better in understanding other people and opening up. And also, in going through high school and A-levels and learning a lot about relationships and people, not just romantic wise, there is a point in life where you come to accept that people will be people. People will be assholes. You cannot please everyone, if at all, like please a single person. I can consider myself as a punk for that, because I will always be a punk. I don't care about what the norm thinks. I do what I want. And I've always told the team, behind IPD. We do not sacrifice lives here in exchange for an event that will come to pass. You can look back on it and be happy on what we've done. But I do not want someone to forsake whatever opportunities you have for the sake of narrowing down. Always keep your options open, especially never ever put too much of yourself into something unless you're sure that you can get results from it or you have people you can fall back on. Because in doing that, I'm sorry to say, but sometimes you are setting yourself up for failure, especially in situations where like you overestimate. And that's why I said it's important to do things outside your safety zone. It comes back to my point. You should take that first step, because in doing that, you understand not only yourself better, but what you want in life as well. Because you're like, maybe like it seems easy to make gaming channels. It seems easy to make streams. But when you actually do it, you're like, maybe this is not what I want. And in doing so, not only have you taken that first step, but you've also wiped out any regrets you may come to feel in the future. Because you've already like doubled down on it, told yourself, this is not what I want to do. This is not like the people I want to hang out with. And in doing so, like I said, experience is important. Humans are built on experience. We are the best of who we are and the worst of who we are because of the experiences we deal with, as well as like we choose what we want to do based on experiences. And without those experiences, then we are nothing, because we will never find out what we want and what we don't want. And it's very important that we have as much experience as we can, because not only can we, at the very least, if you cannot help yourself, as Jaden Animations once said, if you cannot help yourself, at least help someone else out. And if you think like doing something as simple as like writing a fan fiction can help someone else out to like, I don't know, masturbate. Nah, jokes aside, like even if you can help someone out with just writing something and like making their day in like just reading a fan fiction, even something as silly as that, at least you help someone in doing something. Whether or not you want to do that forever, it doesn't matter. But at least you did something, you reaffirmed it, and now you know what you're gonna do. And I don't see any negatives to that. As long as, like I said, don't devote too much of your time into it. Don't make yourself stressed. Don't distance yourself from all your friends as a result of chasing your goals. But at the same time, not only do you learn what you don't want and what you want, you also learn how to balance things in life as well. You learn how to channel all your rage, all your frustrations and stress to not be negative towards your friends. You learn to not be an anxious wreck or a depressive wreck because your video did not get enough views, because you come to understand that views is not everything, because that's all random. Things are out of your control, and some things are in your control. How you choose to direct what you can control is important, and how you choose to use your experience to your favor and the lessons you've learned along the way is important. Because if you're a person who's just like, I'll do this and I'll just forget about it, then like what's the point if you don't like come to terms? You want to do something meaningful, and you want to tell yourself like, give it your best shot, because in giving your best shot, you have emotional attachment as well as personal attachment to it. You put yourself out there and you're more honest with yourself, therefore allowing yourself to be more vulnerable, allow people to like criticize you, hurt you, and you learn to cope with that and to see like, I can be a better person by learning how to not use my negative energy to be destructive. How can I use all this negativity to be constructive? And I find that, like I said, the best is all we can do sometimes. No one can fault you for the way you feel and the things you want to do, because good friends will always want to back you up in decisions. Good friends will never want to tear you down. And that's just really it, of course your family may not approve, that goes without saying, but at the end of the day, it's what you want that ultimately comes first, because it comes back to my first point. No one will know how you truly feel and what you want, because they are not you. And like I said about the PewDiePie thing, people may not even understand what you've come to enjoy, or why you choose to put yourself through such emotional turmoil over such fictitious stuff, or like a person who doesn't even know you. It's because it's what you are, and no one can fault you for being who you are. Unless you're a murdering psychopath, then maybe you should reconsider. But yes, that's all. I'm gonna take a quick drink again to clear my throat of any doubts. Very nice. Here's, I'm not gonna start that meme. I'm probably gonna wrap up the stream very soon, so I'll probably just, yeah, I'll just probably go over what the IPD is doing for, and I'll just very quickly shoot a message to the person hosting the stream. All right. All right. So to conclude, once again, thank you, Normal Future 705 for the follow. Once again, I want to reiterate that if it's not clear by now what IPD stands for, we are standing as a community based on all the points I've said. Like, I'm sure I have a lot more I can dive into, but all of you are tired to listen of listening and what I have to ramble about. Because as if you guys didn't know, this is actually rambling to myself is my channel. I mostly review music and sometimes movies and just talk random shit, but I haven't really done anything because I've been quite busy as of late. So yeah, my name Kintrix is my Twitter handle, I believe. So yeah, just a quick heads up as to why this is the Rambling to Myself podcast. I am rambling to myself, but that's besides the point. Back to the point on IPD. We host the IPD with the single goal in mind, and that is we need to show the world why Felix means so much to us. We need to tell people why does a random Swedish guy screaming into a microphone and laughing at very low quality memes mean so much to us. You know, and I think I've explained myself enough as to why it matters. You know, it's not about the sub war. All of that comes second. It's not about getting people to subscribe. All of that is not as important as it is as telling people and showing a more genuine side to the fan base. Because sometimes to be vulnerable and allow people to let themselves tear their walls down and understand what we have to say, we ourselves have to allow ourselves to be vulnerable and tell people what we really feel so that they can begin the step of empathizing and understanding why we feel the way we do. Because if we say something as superficial as "thank you PewDiePie for making good content," what does that mean? What do you think a normal average layperson would think? Oh, I like rock music because it sounds heavy. That's not a good justification. You like something because you like something is superficial at best. And I'm not saying that everyone has to be like deep thinking about me and critically tearing apart like, why do I like something? Why do I hate something? That is not my point. My point is that like you should try to at least say like, why do you like it, more than just like, thank you PewDiePie, I like your video. It doesn't have to be something big. Thank you PewDiePie for saving me, or like, thank you PewDiePie for like creating videos I can watch every day, or like, thank you PewDiePie for creating some of my favorite series, making a community and stuff. Like, at least, say something. Why does it matter? Be vulnerable. Allow people to understand where you're coming from. In whether or not it's emotional or logical, doesn't matter. As long as you're honest to yourself, at least we can hope that someone out there can see that honesty, understand it, and even if they don't like PewDiePie, at least see what PewDiePie has created for us, let alone the countless of donations and people he's given work to. So I feel like since the start, this is IPD. We want people to know, why is PewDiePie so important to us? Why do we watch PewDiePie? What does it matter to us, like coming home and essentially wasting to the average person? We are wasting our time watching 10 minutes a day when we could be using that for productivity. We need to tell people that's not the point. It's more than that. We enjoy this in the same way people enjoy watching sports. We enjoy this the same way people enjoy going out and playing badminton or tennis. We enjoy this the same way that like a person, comes to play Minecraft or sits in front of a television, you know, that's literally the same thing. People don't accept that. You sit in front of television and a screen watching a video, what's the difference? You're just watching something that was created by someone else. And I find like it's kind of weird that people do not understand that or accept the fact that things are not as different as they seem sometimes. And if a person truly cannot see eye to eye, at the very least, they've come to understand we are at least not a toxic fan base. We have genuinely wholesome people, and perhaps maybe even like change their super negative views into something slightly more positive. Maybe from hating PewDiePie blindly, they understand the context. They may still hate PewDiePie. At least we can educate people and make them learn things about stuff that they did not know. Because I find like being educated and understanding things before coming to a judgment is very important. Because in the day of social media and the future of like just like, you know, hey, let's just be angry at everything without context. Let's just be angry at a religion, or like let's not accept some science facts, because you know, anger is such an easy emotion to channel to. But we need to learn to be more positive. We need to give positivity to people where people cannot give it to us, because sometimes maybe that person just needs someone to talk to, or that person is angry because of something else in their life. And that's just it. We need to understand people are people. We need to do our best as a community to tell people, hey, thank you PewDiePie for creating this. Thank you HypeXSauce for following. We need to tell people, we need to teach people and show people our love for a single creator that has brought so much joy and something to look forward to in our life. Because I understand like at that age, for the most of the audience, we are very vulnerable. Some of us don't have friends. We don't know who we are. Sometimes we have a lost sense of identity, trying to make other people happy at the expense of ourselves. And we try to keep up this image. And people don't see that sometimes. Like, people always just say like, oh, you're being bullied, boo-hoo. Well, there's millions of other people that like are being bullied as well. And whilst there are people that will never change their mind, at least we have tried. And that's really like, you know, we need to tell people what it means, what PewDiePie means, what this whole event means, what it's not just a milestone to be hit. It's not just the meme that we did fitting T-Series. It's not as simple as I want to mindlessly waste my life away to watch Felix. It's what I want to do. And I hope that you can accept and understand that what I enjoy and what you enjoy may be vastly different, but at least you can come to understand why I choose to enjoy the things I do and you enjoy the things you do, because we are humans. And if we were all the same, then we wouldn't have all this content. And that is the core message of IPD. We want a positive community that shows that they can put a foot down and tell people. It's like I watched a YouTube channel called Brad Tasty Music. He reviews music, and he made a very controversial remark due to the actions of a few career boos on the website. But the people in the band, the fan base, was so overwhelmingly positive that it changed his mind. He took down the video and even offered to review more of their albums. And I find that to be like, that is a good step, because a whole community was able to stand up for a single like a band, in our case a user named PewDiePie, and change the opinions of someone. Like, you know, we need to understand that there are people out there who are willing to change their minds and are accepting, and we need to educate these people. And that's the whole point of this. We need people to know, because there are people out there that are just misinformed, have a blind view, and just don't know what to do with some information that is presented by the media. And that's just how the way the world is, you know. And I think that's about it. I feel like I'm repeating myself at this point again and again, but that's the gist of it. Like, remember that our goal is not to promote the war, because of not only like is the war a negative thing because of the amount of like negativity surrounding it, with like the videos getting banned, and there's like sometimes even gets to the point where there's hate speech. being brought upon, and we do not want that. We want to show people not of something that will come to pass, but of what will remain. And that is what PewDiePie will continue to create, the happiness he will continue to give us, and the times we will continue to share as a community with him. And yeah, I think that about sums it up pretty nicely. My name has been Aaron. I've been your host for the past, I would say, 1 hour. Yeah, 1 hour, 10 minutes. And that about wraps it up for today. I'll hopefully see you guys around. I usually say I see you in the next one at the end of my videos, but I'm not even sure if I'll be in the streams. I'll probably join in if there's like any, collaborative streams. But at the time being, I don't really have any plans to hop on the streams. But I'll try my best. And with that, that's all I have to say. Thanks for watching.